So hi, Lukas or Luke. What's your first name? How it's pronounced?
Łukasz.
Łukasz.
Luke is okay.
Łukasz.
Łukasz, yeah.
Yeah, Luke Skywalker, of course. What was your first computer?
My first computer?
Yeah.
It was, I think it was Commodore VIC-20.
Oh, Commodore VIC-20, okay. And what you did with it?
What I did with it? Yeah, I was just playing on it. I was doing some games. And then I was programming something using BASIC. I remember it was very, very long time ago. So
Okay.
Yeah.
So you played games back then, and which games? You remember?
Oh no, really, it was a long time ago. There was some platform games. Yeah, I don't recall the name. Yeah, but it was I was like teenager, 14 years old or something.
Okay.
And it was like, the computer was like connected with games. Yeah, there was nothing else. But after some time, I started like learning and reading about the computers, about there's programming languages on computers, so you can program your own games if you want to, and that's how it started. Basically, yeah. So with games, and then I was discovering the world of programming computers.
And why you started with being more curious about programming? Why you did it? I mean, were you bored with games, or what's the deal? With starting programming?
Just fun, because it's discovering something new. It was like exciting new stuff that you can do with computers. It's not just you can I don't know, implement something that will do something for you. Yeah, it's maybe not games. Games was okay to play them, but I discovered it very hard to write them, to code a proper game. It was like a lot of work, and you had to know a lot of more things than just about the programming language, because there was the graphics, there was sound, and so on. It was very hard for me to on the beginning to program games. So I just started just programming, some simple
so you wanted
things,
so you wanted actually to write a game, but it was too hard, right?
Yeah, actually I wanted, but I discovered it's not that easy.
Yeah.
After spending some time reading some docs and books, it wasn't okay. It's not that simple. Yeah,
you are actually right. It was in my case this similar, because it's not like I wanted to write a game, but there are lots of magazines which described that you can actually write a game. And then I got the idea, it is actually possible to write a game, and I thought this is very easy because it is described in the magazine. But the games in the magazines were actually not that exciting, right? They were like ASCII art.
Yeah. You had all this code. You can just retype in your computer, and you was able to launch this game. But it was like two pixels running around, so not so exciting.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
When was it? 1986 around 88.
Yeah, so around 92 or something like that.
92, that was later, okay.
Oh no, no, it was before my high school. So yeah, 80 or something like that, 80.
Okay.
The time when the Poland was finally free, and we were able to buy some Western stuff, computers.
Okay, so you got the computer after the not revolution. Can we call it revolution?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think yes, because before it was very hard to buy such stuff in the market. Yeah, there was some high schools and there were some computers, but normally for normal people it was very hard.
Okay, so what was the first application which was somehow usable you wrote? Something which worked, as kid. I don't know. It's just a painting program or whatever, database, or I don't know, database or.
No, I think it was on the Commodore 64.
Oh, you had a Commodore, so it was a huge.
Huge
upgrade.
It was evolution. Yeah, after like 2 or 3 years using I bought a brand new Commodore 64. I was in high school at that time, and I was playing board games. A lot of this game called Space something.
Space Invaders? No. No.
No, it was a board game that you have been flying your spaceship and buying and selling stuff. It was like a cooperation game for 4 or 5 people, and it was like a huge deck with lots of stuff, lots of cards,
Okay.
lots of the peons and so on. And the logic was very complicated
Okay.
to calculate all this market stuff. Yeah, there was like proper market stuff, and I wrote a small basic application to support that.
Okay.
So you can able to enter some values, and all the calculation was happening in this application. So we have been playing this game a lot, and was using this program to support the game. Because it was like 5 to 6 hours of play, this game. So with the computer, it was like 1 hour faster to play.
Okay, but it was amazing because back then you had properly CRT monitor or even a TV set, right?
Yeah, it was a TV set.
Yeah, and then the Commodore and then the huge board. So you need a huge living room.
Yeah, we have been playing. It was not my living room, but in the dedicated place that was for scouts.
So more like a club.
Yeah, it's a club. Yeah, it was in the club. So yeah, I was bringing my computer, my Commodore. There was a TV already there, so I was able to just connect the stuff and set up everything. And it was like Saturday night, evening night of playing games.
Funny fact. So I had already a podcast with Lincoln Baxter of Red Hat, and previously Red Hat employee, and he, you're aware of the plane called Magic: The Gathering.
Yeah.
And he wrote an app for Magic or The Gathering for iOS, and it sold really well. And now he quit Red Hat and has an own startup, just managing the cards. And the funny fact is, I had no idea about Magic. And before the interview, he sent me, the link, and I took a look at the link. And I had no idea what the app is about. It's like, this is crazy. I don't understand anything. There's like, some cards and points, like what the app is doing. Because it was called Top Decked, I assume this is a kind of revolutionary Microsoft project, and then I ask what the app is actually doing. And then he explained me about the Magic. So, okay, this makes sense because I had to admit I had no idea what happens inside your program. Okay, nice. But this actually sounds like fun. So they're like a computer club kind of, and you played the board game and wrote a basic program. And the other kids like that, or only you?
Yeah. I like it to program to write this small program. That was an application.
Yeah.
And we were liking to use it to play the board game. Yeah. So it wasn't that they start coding and writing some programs with me. It was just okay. This is fun thing that help us play games, board games. So let's do it. And yeah, that time it wasn't like it was just a fun thing to write something and to use it. But I wasn't expecting that at some time in the future I will be a professional programmer. Yeah, it was like a hobby. Yeah, it was like just doing fun stuff with a computer.
And was the program also used by others or just by you?
No,
just by you.
By me. The setup was complicated.
Yeah, I can imagine. 50 parameters in the right order,
Yeah, exactly, something like that. Yeah, so it wasn't like only the author was able to use it. So.
Okay. So there was the natural licensing, So, and was it like lots of if-else statement or what it did actually? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, basically lots of if-else.
Okay.
And assuming some stuff and printing the results. So it wasn't so complicated, but no, it allowed me to do something with the computer, not just playing things.
And I guess you loaded the software from tape, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice. So, and what happened after that? So the next application, this was actually sounds like fun. So what was the next one?
The next one was, I think it was like I started working as a software engineer, not software engineer, information technology engineer. Yeah, it was because that time there was no like in my area there was no like offers for software programmers.
What's your area? Where you are located?
Southern part of Poland, near Krakow.
Okay, near Krakow. Nice.
Yeah.
I was
But in
2
Krakow,
weeks
yeah.
ago or 3 weeks ago. I talked at the JDD conference. The conference was previously in Krakow, but now it's of course online. But it was so I was several times in Krakow actually.
Yeah, so it's like 60 kilometers
Okay.
to Krakow. Yeah, in Krakow there was probably some offers for software programs, but I wasn't considering myself as a software developer that time.
Wait a second. With Basic, with your knowledge, or did you learn something else?
I started learning Pascal.
Why that? Because
I don't know.
Okay, you found this somehow, or did this also?
Yeah, I just was reading so magazines, and there was some examples Pascal language. So I started, and then I already had a proper PC computer, with Windows 95.
Okay. So after the C64, you got a proper computer on Windows, right?
Yeah. After a few, exactly. This was my studies. I had a proper PC computer, so I started learning about like Pascal. Then it was Borland Delphi 1.0. So it was the first tool to create window applications. Yeah. So I was like, oh wow, it's amazing that you don't have to like think about this whole graphic stuff. You can just create your first stuff. And to be honest, I was using the Delphi, Borland Delphi Borland Delphi, depending on the name, to create some small tool sets to help me with my daily work. I was a network engineer. Network engineer and general IT guy.
Okay.
Bring computers, install something. Manage users and so on using the novel network.
And where you worked? Still in?
I started as in the social insurance company.
Okay.
This ZUS in Poland. So and after like 2 years, I moved to a Delphi automotive company. The name similar to Borland Delphi,
okay,
but it's a different company. They were producing wires for automobiles.
Okay, and this was in your area, right?
Yeah, in my area. It was like 20 kilometers from here. So that was like the first professional IT job when I started using my. I still was a network engineer. But
Novell is interesting. I also worked with Novell. And the reason being is because as I started as a Java programmer, there was a small company and they were like Novell partner and they always wanted, me to use Novell. And one of the first projects at the beginning, I used the NDS, Novell Directory Services, NDS.
Yeah.
And there was a Java binding and you could access NDS from Java. And I just remember there were a really strange strings there. So there was not like a real string, like a 16-bit or byte string or whatever. So it was not that easy to program the stuff. And actually, because of NDS, I think we got LDAP. So the Novell was really behind, the directory services. And back then, NDS and Novell was really huge behind printers, right? So they managed the printers and the whole hierarchy. So that's what I remember, right? And exactly. And they were huge in Java. So you could run Java on NetBeans, on this operating system from Novell. So fun effect. And back then, we indirectly communicated with the guy from Novell. He was CTO, and now he's at Google. I forgot his name. I have to remember. And he's the main guy at Google. He was still chair. I will have to look it up. But he was a CTO back then. This was 1995, 1996. And he was a big Java proponent at Novell. This is what I remember.
That's also a funny thing because that's why I started learning Java. Because of network. I discovered that I can use or connect with NDS with novel directory services using Java because that was very hard for other languages, even for Borland Delphi to use or Pascal to use these services. And that's why I discovered Java. Okay, I am able to use Java to connect to network, to do some stuff with network, so with NDS. So that's why I started learning Java. It was like I fall in love in Java. So yeah, so very similar setup as for you.
Very interesting. And the guy is called Eric Schmidt.
Yeah. Oh,
I forgot. So he was at that time at Novell, and we almost met them in a project. And now, of course, he's a famous guy from Google. But back then he was behind Novell and the Java stuff actually at Novell.
Yeah, I was very close to Novel Poland that time as well. I was presenting some stuff and so on.
And also funny fact, because you're a Novell guy, in German we had a huge conference. It was called Systems in Munich. You know that back then?
Oh,
it was really, really big back then. Now I think it doesn't even exist. It was that big that there was actually traffic jam on the highways, you know. So and this was more like kind of, it was not developer exactly. There was like, you know, everyone who wanted to do something with IT was at the conference, and we together with Novell had to do a demo, and I hacked a few nights, you know, the NDS with Java, and I knew Java back then, but NDS was not easy. I remember. It was really hard, you know, to write objects, read object. It was not that easy. It was not like you would imagine it's just a hash map or tree. I spent really a whole night to write something and read from it. It was not obvious what happens there. And I got, you know, all the nice CDs from NetBeans with the SDKs and stuff like that. Yeah, the red stuff. Okay, so interesting.
Exactly. So yeah, I got the same stuff as well, because we have been buying some stuff from Novell, and they were sending lots of CDs with SDKs and so on. Yeah, it was very hard to begin. I remember it was, but it was the only option then to use NDS from programming language. Yeah.
Ah, I didn't know that. I thought I was the first who use Java. I thought usually you would use C or whatever.
Yeah, you could use C as well. Yeah, but it was even more hard.
Yeah, okay, this is what I also do. Okay. So that's actually great. So probably, yeah, you spend your time in Poland and I'm in Germany at the same time, and we hacked together on Novell, you know, without knowing from each other. Yeah, and we did very similar things. I had to store, I remember, users, groups, and all the stuff, because we built a CMS system, like a e-commerce system with CMS background, and we stored the entire CMS configuration and the e-commerce stuff in the NDS. Because
this was a commercial product, because I remember I was in some conference and there were a guy presenting some CMS stuff based on NDS, and it was like, wow, it's possible to do such crazy stuff with NDS, not just, you know, boring stuff with user and groups.
It was supposed to be a commercial, and they even sold licenses to various companies. And funny fact is, I was the only Java guy, the freelancer, and the other guy was a freelancing Oracle guru, right? He was really guided optimizing oracles, and together we wrote actually the system. There were some other developers later, but at the beginning we started. And what's cool then is this new economy, right? The first thing would happen is the CTO from the company, or CEO, I don't even know, he bought an entire building at the airport Munich. And they say, why we need a building? You know, we are two freelancers. I mean, and it was basically empty, but he wanted to have a building at the airport Munich, and then he wanted to expand to India. It's like, look, I mean, we are two guys. I don't like to go to India, you know. We are happy here. No, we have to expand. We have to grow, right? And in the end, the cool story is then there were entire level in the building dedicated to marketing, and the people just wrote, you know, the marketing materials for our software, but they didn't talk to us. So what we built, they actually didn't knew what we are actually doing, right? And they sold stuff which I saw, you know, the magazines. That's just crazy that actually something like this exists. And the last funny fact, because back then, you remember Synchronize and Final, right? Synchronize Final. Mm-hmm. So and this, remember, this is still there. But back then, with the servlets, right? with the servlets,
yeah,
with the servlets, if you use Synchronize and Final, back then it was slower, measurably slower. Yeah, with the old JDKs, but it was correct, and our software was multi-threaded, and I suspected we have a concurrency bug, so I did the doGet and doPost method from the servlet Synchronize Final. And to see immediately the difference, I wrote the version of the name was JShop, was the product name. Maybe there was a official name, but JShop was our name for the product. So I had to know the first version was like 10 SF, like Synchronize Final. And the marketing department was asked by a client, what is SF? And the marketing department didn't know, and they said, this is the San Francisco edition. And back then, right, there was a San Francisco framework, you remember, from IBM. And yeah, this was like huge. There are books about that. Integration San Francisco framework. Everyone was mad, wanted to have this San Francisco framework integration. And they came to us and they asked us, where is this San Francisco framework integration? It's like, what are you talking about, San Francisco? I had no idea what you are talking. Yeah, there is what is DSF? It's like synchronized final. It's like, now we have a problem. So we had to build a kind of San Francisco. This is what these days, this is what are crazy times. I say, either I'm crazy. This is why I'm probably one guy freelancer, because I never understood the idea of growing. And this is like, for me, it was crazy back then. And I think the building is still there. I will have to visit the building because I'm really curious what's inside the building right now. Because back then I was never in the building actually. And the other guy was once there and they did, all the networking stuff. But I think then the company get bankrupt, I think. Okay, this was this was the novel time, my novel time. And funny, you spent similar. It was in Poland crazy as this? No, right? It was not this craziness.
Not this, but that time the novel was the only solution for networks, to be honest.
Yeah. IP, right? They were able to do IP, right? Which was not possible.
Yeah,
with Windows
exactly.
95. This was the big deal back then.
Exactly. So the beginning of the end of the 90s, it was like all the time novel stuff, and then was like Windows NT, Windows 2000 took over the whole market. Yeah, so
Oh, cool. So what it means is that you are actually a network expert, so now you can easily configure the firewall on Linux, right? IP tables not problem for you, right? Just you fire up VI. And...
No. I don't think so. I think it will always be a problem. I don't know. This stuff is changing so quick, so I have no idea how to configure this IP tables and other stuff. Even I know what I'm talking about there is a routing, there is a network and interfaces, but still it's complicated.
Every 3 years I build my own server and IP tables I got, so now I'm able, to configure IP tables somehow that is working. And then IP tables and SE Linux came, and this is hell on earth. If you have both at the same machine, I mean, it's highly secure, but you cannot communicate with the machine because it's just, okay. Nice. So you learned Java with NDS, right?
Yeah.
And which IDE you used back then? You remember that? JBuilder?
Yeah, I think JBuilder. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that was the option.
Yeah.
Then. Yeah, I think so.
JDK 1.1, I think, back then.
1 or even 1.2, maybe. I don't remember. Yeah, it was one of the earliest versions.
Yeah, these days I think it was 1.1. This is also what I used the first SDK from Novell. It was 1.1, and I started with 1.0 actually. 1.1 was the first, and I really liked 1.1 because there was 1.1.8 which came with the JIT, and this was huge performance boost. And JDK 1.2 was for me bloated because this 1.1.8 was like 5 megs on disk, and 1.2 was way larger. And but it came with Swing and all the stuff. And so you stick with Java from then?
Yeah, not really just Java, because I was just then start interesting about using some web application. So I was like learning PHP, there's some new discovery, and even we wrote a huge system to monitor production using PHP. Because it was very easy to display something on a web page with PHP. With Java, it was very complicated. Basically, using Java servlets to have like large web page was like what the hell? There was a lot of work to do. Yeah.
But you had to use CGI back then, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And this is this was actually my way other way around. The only thing I knew was Java, and then I got approached by the company to build the CMS. And they asked me about Perl or PHP. I said, I have no idea what it is, PHP or Perl. And then I found that CGI is slow and insecure. I said, okay, we could do this, but I will, this is insecure and slow. We could just use Java. And I know about servlets. And what I forgot is that there were no servers for the servlets. So what I remember is at Sylvester, at the Sylvester of a year, 1998, I think, Java Web Server came out. So I waited with my credit card. It cost 400 euro. No, Deutschmark. 400. So I waited with a credit card to download the Java web server from Sun, and then started coding because my deadline was like in January or February. So so this was I was probably one of the first Java web server users back then, and how to use it was crazy because it came with one jar. There was no class path. So we had to talk to Oracle. So what I did is, of course, I extracted Oracle drivers and extracted the other jars and then merged them together, and it worked. So and I was then the wizard because I had a deep knowledge how to integrate with Oracle just by combining two jars, right? Okay. Yeah. So and you stick with PHP?
It was like for some time we have been using it a lot, and then we discovered some PHP had some limits, and we started using again Java and JSP, Java Server Pages. But then I discovered Struts. That was the first framework. It was 2001 or something, 2002. Yeah.
And you studied actually informatic computer science, or we just was network engineer who became what you did?
I started as a to be honest, I was automotive engineer.
Okay.
I supposed to fix your car.
So you had how to call it? You don't have a university degree?
No, I have, but I started as a car engineer.
Yeah.
Then I discovered robotics, robots, and stuff like that. And I was okay. This is cool stuff.
But how you discovered that? I mean, how you?
Because there was we have some after hours labs that you can participate for free. And there was like the huge laboratory with robots, the 1990. It was like, whoa, not impossible. And then I was discovering that there was another hobby I was discovering. Yeah.
But I have to say, I am now located in Bavaria. We have lots of car garages, but no one has a robot. So where you were in Silicon Valley or what?
No. It was this production robots to assemble a car, for example.
Yeah.
The huge one, yeah.
You work for car assembly company?
No, it was on the university, on the Polytechnic.
So you studied car engineering?
Yeah, I started as a car engineer, but there was this lab with robots, so I could participate.
Nice. Okay.
So then I discovered robots, and then I discovered that there's a programming language to program those robots, and then I discovered, okay, so maybe I should start studying to be software engineer. So after 2 years, I switched to be a software engineer and studies.
Right, it's KUKA robots. Program. You know KUKA company?
Okay.
KUKA, KOOKR. This is like German KUKA production robots. This is like market leader. Because I knew that KUKA did lots of Java. Which brand the robots were, so now I'm interested. But
no. As I said, that was my career as to become a software programmer, software engineer. Yes, because I started as a car engineer. Then I was studying for a year robotics, and then maybe I should just start studying programming languages and so on.
So you studied the second time or just?
I switched to a different,
branch.
Department.
Okay.
Yeah, so
and you studied in Krakow? In Krakow?
Yeah, in Krakow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's nice city with the dragon.
Yeah, nice city with dragon with the castle.
Yeah, I talk with lots of conference organizers, and I always ask them why you don't name your conference Dragon Conf or something. I would absolutely use the dragon, or something. This is just because otherwise your conference is like, all the others conferences worldwide. But the dragon is like, actually, it's this crazy story with the dragon. You have, the stories that did some research in Wikipedia, and there is a kind of a dungeon with the dragon, below the castle. So it's actually crazy. And you have the actual dragon, like a sculpture which spits fire, which is also interesting.
Lots of tourists visit this place because it's like iconic stuff.
This is actually a nice story. So car engineer, robots, and then software engineering. And I wanted to do actually very also similar story to yours. So I wanted to do cybernetics, it was called. But the cybernetics were robots. But the problem I had, there were no robots in my area, right? So I studied software engineering, and then at one point of time, I just took a look at the robots, but the programming was not that exciting. So I lost interest in the robots because it was more like primitive, basic what I saw, or for Siemens, the programming language, which was not that exciting. So I mean, this is just pragmatic language to control robots. So I lost complete interest in robots, I have to say. Okay, so after the novel time PHP, then you discovered Struts 1, which I also did, because in my e-commerce stuff, I've wrote servlets, which was the front controller. This was the Struts pattern, right? And then we had, there were no action classes. We had Java beans, and the Java beans had, we serialized them on disk, actually in Novell, in NDS. And in the Java beans, the entire configuration was stored in the Java beans, which was used by the servlet. And the servlet forwarded the requests to our own processors or action classes, which were responsible for displaying this. And they forward, of course, to JSPs. And JSPs were just the templates, right? So we built this by ourselves. And of course, transactions is everything by ourselves. Then EJBs came out, and I say, okay, why we need EJBs already works already in our system. So, but then I became so at the beginning, or what I did, I spent a large amount of time for one client, and then I got asked from different companies, and then if the time is fragmented, it's over. You cannot just spend too much time in one project because you do everything in parallel, and I had no time, to reinvent the wheel every time. So I couldn't just, implement the same software over and over again. And then I discovered Struts 1. And I really like that. So actually it worked for me. It was really perfect. Actually, I described it in one of my books, Struts 1 with the backends. And then if you use Struts 1, then EJBs make sense because they control transactions for you, so you can just use them from outside. Yeah. So I combined Struts 1 with EJBs in pragmatic way, and I really had Struts. And you use Struts in your projects then, right?
Yeah, we start using Struts because writing pure JSPs, it was like complicated stuff. There was no templating. Mm-hmm. Basically, so that's why we started using Struts and using tiles. Mm-hmm. Because you were able to compose to.
But this was later with tiles, right?
So yeah, but it was like I think I started with 1.2 or 1.1. I don't remember exactly. It wasn't the very first version of Struts. It was like the text one, and we start like rewriting our system to monitor production, to use Java, to use Struts as a front end. There was a lot of Java stuff on the back end that was performing some calculation and so on. And I think this this system is working till today. So
what was it? What do you build with Struts 1?
It was internal application for the shop floor.
Okay.
To monitor production. So there some people were entering some data, and it was able to calculate some predicate, some prognose, how the production will go, what is missing, and so on. So it was like it was automotive company, so there was a lot of components to build a wire, mm-hmm. to harnesses, to build harnesses, and so you need to know which of the stuff you order before you start production and so on. So this was like very simple stuff, but a huge amount of data.
Yeah, this is what it's called today, Manufacturing Execution System, MES, I guess. Yeah. And actually, some of my current projects are in this area. So still the same problem, the robots are working like crazy, and we have received all the data and store as quickly as possible. And if something goes wrong, we have to immediately recognize what went wrong, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So you built something with Struts. Amazing. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have been using Struts because it was internal application, web application, because it was first we thought about using some, Windows-based application, but we discovered that this is not the option, especially for some, that there was different Windows version, like 5, Windows 2000, and it was very hard to fit all the configurations. So we decided, okay, let's use web browser. It works everywhere the same, so we don't have to worry about that. Mm-hmm. And it was even nice that people start using from outside. Mm-hmm. So because it was an international company, so quite often there were some visitors from other factories, from other brands, and they were very like to see it, and they see all the data in every place. Yeah, you don't have to be in your computer to see the data. You can just open a browser, log into an application, and say, okay, this is the current status, so we can do it. Mm-hmm. So it was, people liked it, how it worked.
And was it on Tomcat, I guess, right?
Yeah, on Tomcat. Yeah, the only proper container.
You remember Jigsaw?
So, no.
As my early research, because the Java web server was not available, I tried to find something with servlets. And what I found is the Jigsaw servlet engine. And I just remember the name. And recently I did some research for a keynote. And I found the Jigsaw. And this is from W3C consortium. Oh. And we tested this back then, and it's still available. You can download the Jigsaw. So I will just test it because I'm really curious whether it will actually start. But the Jigsaw is a servlet engine from W3C. So I thought this is Apache project. It isn't. It is a W3C. exactly.
No, we have been using Tomcat a lot.
Yeah.
We have been trying to use Glassfish, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But it's
Yes.
much later. I mean, I
Yeah,
think
it
we are
was later.
2005 probably now.
Yeah, something like that. I think first we tried with JBoss,
Mhm.
but it was huge, too complicated. Then
Mhm.
the Glassfish came out, and we started trying to play with Glassfish. Yeah, but then I was fired and to find out the company.
Because of Glassfish.
No,
So why?
because of IT, they were changing the how it's called now. They were rebuilding the structure of the company, and there was a lot of IT stuff was outsourced to India to some other good stuff. So
this even happens in Poland. So I thought this was, but what I assume now it's everything backsourced, right? They find out it's really hard to work remotely, and now you have IT guys again, right, or not?
I don't know. Probably yes, because they need some guys that will be installing and configuring your PC computer. Yeah, so someone need to do it.
Okay. So okay. So what happens after that? So you after this project, you did the Struts work, and
that was also a good thing because my next then I was a proper employee, and then I start after this change in my professional life, I started my as a freelancer career. So I moved to Warsaw to a Dutch company, and I work for them for a huge bank from Denmark, and they have been using Strat as well. So I fit very well in the requirements. So I spent like 3 years there. We met quite often, to be honest. You have been visiting Warsaw a few times. There was this NetBeans days. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
You have been traveling around Poland, around Europe with presenting NetBeans.
Yeah. And we met. So a
few times we met during the conferences in Warsaw or in Gdańsk.
Yeah, I was in Warsaw. NetBeans says I'm not sure. I was in in Gdańsk and in Posen.
Yeah, probably in Gdańsk. So, but I remember I was in Warsaw, in Gdańsk, and a few other places.
So then, a very short story about NetBeans days because in Posen and in Gdańsk, because there was the Heritian Wilenga and another Polish guy. Both work for some ecosystem, and they told me, not a problem. Come to Posen, deliver the talk, and then we have a car. They had a car. And we can go to Gdańsk. And I said, okay, we can do this. But they had no idea, about how to go to Gdańsk. And this was before Google Maps. And Hertian had already a cellular phone. But the problem was the bandwidth was so slow that we only saw, the street and a dot, nothing else. And we just, we always told, I think the Polish guy, the name was Karol, I think. Say, Karol, follow the green dot. And he drove like crazy. He was, the Polish guy, it was like kamikaze drive, He didn't care. So always overtook everything, right? And I said, okay, we have no idea where we are. No. Where we are going, and it is no problem, no problem. So okay, no problem. And then we were in Gdańsk, so I delivered the other talk, okay. But I had no idea that we met. This actually.
Yeah, I remember you from those days. During this time, Warsaw was quite active for me. I was a member of Java user group in Warsaw.
This was where I was. I was Java user group invited. I delivered a talk.
Yeah, as well.
And then we were together in a bar. It was like the Polish comic or something like this. It was like the two Polish guys. It was called. It was like a Polish tale bar, with like a comic. You know what a comic is?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a Polish comic, and the bar was named after that because I asked, "What is it?" And they say, "Okay, everyone knows that. It's just like Bolek or someone."
I don't remember.
Okay, and we spent some time there. Yeah, Warsaw was always nice. So it was a few times in Warsaw, but a lot in Krakow. I think I spent most time in Krakow and in Gdańsk actually. So and the next time, I wanted to go to Gdańsk to InfoShare. No, InfoShare. Yeah. Gdańsk in university. I was invited to university. And the pilot says, unfortunately, there is a fog in Gdańsk. We cannot land. But it's not a problem. We will land in Posen. And I was alone. I said, again, in Posen. Forget it, right? I land in Posen and they say, no problem. We'll organize the buses. And I ask, hey, how long will it take? And they say, we don't even know who to ask. So, okay. Then I got a taxi driver. And there was a huge, huge queue of taxis. So I asked the last guy, look, I have to go to Gdańsk really fast. And the guy told me, I never left Posen so far. I had no idea how to do it, you know. He was like an older guy. At the highway, you had to pay something, you know, the toll at the highway. Yeah. And there was like a box. So he left the car and tried to talk to the box. And I say, look, this is how it works. Just, you know, give the money to the box and it will go, you know. This was like, he was already, this was crazy. I have to if we would meet somewhere, I would tell you the entire story. He couldn't go too fast with the taxi on the highway because he had like the taxi sign was attached to the roof via magnets. And he said, if we go over 90, we will lose the sign. And I said, I don't care. Then we have to put off the sign because I have to really go to the university, right? Yes. And he said, okay. But then he was afraid of cross, you know, there was a straight line on the street, so we cannot cross the line. It's like, okay, then we have to wait until the line stops and then we will just stop, right? Okay. And this was a cemetery. So we drove with the car to the cemetery at night. And we tried to detach his sign, you know, to this car. So I think this is we could do a movie about this journey, you know. And the professor from university gave the introduction. I was still in the car, and I told the professor via cellular phone what he has to do, you know. So I told a little bit about dependency injection and whatever. And that one came in, and I was like, okay, where do you come? He was already. So this was a nice twice. That happens to be twice, yeah. And now it won't happen anymore because Gdańsk got the radars or whatever. So now they can always land. Back then, you know, if there was fog, the airplanes couldn't land in Danzig. This was the problem. Yeah. Funny story. So you remember me old stuff. I didn't know that we actually met.
Okay. I was just participating in your talks, though. So no, it wasn't like you're a close friend or something. Yeah. So, but I remember you that you have been quite active in Poland.
Yes, still I am, but remotely right now.
Yeah, like everybody else.
And okay, cool. So what was the next project then? So we are already in present day, right? So you were in Warsaw. You work for the Dutch bank.
Yeah. Then I met guys that I'm working with this day. They just started a small company, software mill. Mm-hmm. It was like 6 of us. So I decided, okay, I will leave the bank and we'll start working with you. But then I went back to my home city, hometown, and I was able to work remotely because they decided the company would be fully remote from the very beginning. So there was no office, nothing like that. So everybody was working remotely. And, you know, I was working in Java. There was a lot of projects in Java. I was doing some stuff for guys from Australia. It was about monitoring system based on, you know, there was this project from JBoss to discover the dialing tones.
Really?
Yeah, really. You were able to connect to your telephone center. Not how it's called this stuff with phones.
The controller stuff from the phones.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And you were able to like communicate through
back then it was huge. Wait a second, not only JBoss. I remember everyone because back then it was you could program the stuff. From I remember that everyone was excited about that you could actually program the whole system, the phone system. Yeah, and this was a name for it. You're right.
Yeah, that was from JBoss was for free, so that's why we have been using this JBoss stuff. It was a bit complicated to set up.
But it was not SIP. You're not talking about SIP. You're talking about the SIP is a session initiation protocol. This was voice over IP. It's not that, right?
No, not that one.
But at the same time, it was also popular. This was popular, and the you know routing.
Yeah, exactly. So you were able like to program your this whole stuff just by calling by just typing proper numbers and so on. You are able to send your SMS, short messages, or email that someone is entering your room, your house, or something like that. It never started, to be honest. It was always like preparation, and I don't know. Then I would just switch to other projects. So I have no idea if they finish the product or not.
But the software was the company. This was the company behind Hibernate Anniverse, right? No.
One of the creator of the company, Adam Varsky created Enverse.
Wow.
He was JBoss employer that time before they started the company.
Oh, I didn't knew that. I only knew that the software mill. I always, if I saw software mill, I knew that someone will talk about Enverse, which was a thing because it was okay.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
you're also the
it
founder,
was-
or you're just employee of the company, or
I am just employee.
okay. But you started at the very beginning, or
Like 3 months after,
Okay.
they started in February and I joined in October, something like that.
and how big is the company now? Is this large?
Around 60 people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, almost too large.
I know. I don't know. Maybe there's the 40 something developers, and we have administration staff and so
Yeah,
on,
okay.
because it's not that easy, at that level of company
Yeah.
to have just developers. Yeah,
Mhm.
and the beginning was like a startup. I would say 6 people trying to code something.
Okay. So okay. So and in one point of time, you contributed some code to Struts, or what's the story behind Struts 1 or?
Yeah, it was Struts 2. I started interested in Struts 2 when I was working for the Delphi automotive company.
Okay.
I was exploring new possibilities because the Struts 2 was new stuff on the market. But I changed the company, moved to Warsaw. I started to interesting in helping with this open source stuff, like contributing some patches and so on. And they just asked me if I want to join the community, the Apache community.
Why you were
why not?
interested in contributed code? This is always interests me. So why? I mean, because usually this is painful. You do something and you get rejected or whatever. So the risks are high. And so what was your motivation to contribute the code, or how you got the idea that it's even possible to contribute the code?
I don't know. I don't really exactly remember why I did that, because I discovered that I can fix that.
Okay.
And why not share my discovery? So I
Okay. This makes sense.
I think I did the same thing for NetBeans. I prepared 1 or 2 patches for NetBeans that they were accepted. So I was okay, cool, why not? So it was like small stuff, some small things that I was able to fix. The guys accepted that, so I did.
This is what I get. So this is also what I try sometimes to do. To if I find a bug, try to submit it. I would say the chances are 50-50 that it actually gets accepted, because I sometimes I don't I forgot about the formatting or whatever. So you have to to follow the rules. Otherwise, of course, this is how it works. But yeah. Okay, but yeah, if you have a bug, of course. So this is what they also did in project. We actually had to even. So if you found a bug, you have to contribute it back, because otherwise, in the next version, you get the same problem, right? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. The funny thing that we have been using Struts 2. We have been still Struts 1, but I was contributing to Struts 2. So maybe I was contributing. No.
What is the major difference between Struts 1 and Struts 2?
It's totally different framework, to be honest. It's like, do you remember there was a WebWork?
Exactly. This is what I was curious. So how I found you now, right? Because we are talking, and I invited you to the show. Someone mentioned Struts in the EHXFM podcast. And I remember then exactly what I told you right now, in my past with the building a web framework and the Struts. And I was curious whether Struts is still around. And I found and then I went to the Struts page, and it looked actually nice. So Apache Struts looked fresh and modern. Okay, this is interesting. And then went to GitHub, and what I tend to do is I took at the committer list. And I found that one guy is very active. It's called Luke. Yeah, right. and found that he contributes lots of stuff. And I say, this is actually curious. So why someone is still maintaining Struts, and what's the idea behind? And then I check out the very first commit and was interested to know what happened then. And there was the reference to WebWork. So the very first commit from Struts, if you go back on GitHub, you will find that it's actually a contribution from WebWork framework back then. Mm-hmm.
Exactly, because Struts there was some break from Struts 1. Some guys left the community.
Okay, tell us the story. How Struts 2 happened, if you know it. This would be interesting,
as far as I know, it was like this, that the guys just said, okay, the Struts 1 is okay, but it's supposed to be. Then there was a lot of this dependency inside Struts 1. You have these active beans, these forms, and always connected. Yeah, so they said, okay, this is too complicated. It's supposed to be simple, and that's why they invented or developed WebWork.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, WebWork 2 is Struts 2. So it was like they just move it around and just at the end they contributed the whole code to Apache back
so they were
actually
the same committers from Struts 1 and they renamed that to WebWork and then got the idea to do Struts 2, right?
Yeah, something like that, basically. Yeah, and then at the end they discovered, okay, we should contribute back to Apache to cover all the stuff. And WebWork was used by Jira, to be honest, and I think still is. Jira is using a lot WebWork, and they have even their own version of Struts. If you will check the Maven repository, you will notice that there is a special Atlassian versions of Struts.
Okay. We try to contribute something which breaks Jira down, you know.
Yeah, and that's the funny story, because at some point it occurred to me that I am developing some stuff, contributing to Struts too, that is used by like large companies, like Jira, but Atlassian Jira, and by some banks or so other companies. Even I think Sony was using Sony Europe was using Struts too for the internal assistant, because I got some emails from them. So it was like, okay, by my mistake, I can ruin life of other users. So I need to be more to take care of what I'm doing.
Yeah, well, I would see it differently. So how I see it is that you're contributing your leisure and your time, and the other companies can use your stuff for free. If I were Atlassian and Sony, I would send you at least some swag, you know. Also Atlassian, if you are listening, you know, send Lucas t-shirts or whatever you have. I don't know whether you're interested in free Jira license, but let's say whatever you have, send this to Lucas, right? And the Sony is also even better. So if you have a huge, I don't know, plasma TV or whatever, right, it could be usable.
Yeah, I don't care, but you know, it's still funny for me to work with this code. These days, I'm Scala developer mostly. Yeah, I'm not using Java in my commercial project.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so yeah, that's.
And I thought you are a nice guy, right? And now you come out with Scala.
No, that's the requirement of the market. So if I have a project in Scala, I will use Scala. But I would like to be still connected with Java works. That's why I think also using contributing to Struts. It's like, okay, I can still use Java. I can still learn new stuff.
What I don't understand, why Struts 1 was not improved? Why they had to create a completely new framework? Were there some mistakes in design, or what was the problem back then? Or why WebWork is a lot better than Struts 1?
I don't know exactly, because I wasn't, as I said, I'll join it.
But you know both, right? You know Struts 1 and Struts 2. So, I mean, is the Struts 2 a way better than Struts 1 from the concept?
I think, yes. It's easier to start with. You don't have to have like huge configuration, basically 2 files, and you can just start doing stuff.
So let's say I have an array with, let's say, Pojo's first name and last name, which is returned by a method from the backend. And I would like to display in a list what I had to do with Struts 2 briefly. In nicer design, not just hacking, but rather so really like a Pojo and a controller, all the parts. So really preparing for a serious project. So how the architecture would look like in Struts 2.
You just need an action, which is a Pojo, basically.
Yeah.
With getter and setter, or just with getter because you don't want to update it stuff, with one method execute, which is supposed to return string, and the string is the name of the result defined in Struts XML. The result can be a JSP file, or it can be free marker script, whatever. There's support for few. And then in JSP, if you will use JSP, you just need to use a Struts tag that with some attributes, and basically that's it.
And how you get the access to the Pojo with the 2 fields in the JSP?
By this action.
The action returns that, or stores in the context?
Action to expose that Pojo by a getter. Yeah, so you have an action that somehow is consuming this Pojo from the backend, and is exposing as a value object, as a directive, depending on what exactly is this Pojo. So and this JSP can access the tag, can access action, and like read from this the action.
Mm-hmm.
There's a concept of action stack. You put stuff on the stack, and tags can consume from that stack.
Okay. So the stack were not available in Struts 1, would I remember? But the action
Yeah,
execute was very similar.
Yeah, this is very similar stuff, but there are some major differences, like the stack concept, values. It's called value stacker.
Okay. Do you remember? Are you aware of the Jakarta MVC project or Java MVC model view controller?
Yeah. I remember there was something like that.
Could Struts? Okay, you just remember. I hope you know a little bit the API. But what would be interesting whether Struts 2 could be another implementation of the MVC stuff, right? Because it's one of the APIs. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I don't remember some sent me an email about that. But I have no details, to be honest, not involved in that.
And in the action from Struts 2, does the dependency injection work inside? You know that?
Yeah, you can use Spring. There's an internal. The fun fact is that there's an internal injection mechanism. It's a pre-juice version.
Okay.
Yeah, you know that it was it's Crazy Bob.
Crazy Bob Lee. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
He created Juice, and Juice was the reference implementation for @inject JSR 330 together with Rod Johnson, not to forget.
Yeah. And this pre-alpha version is in Struts 2.
One question to you, because you know Spring as well, right?
Not very good these days.
Okay. Because I also not, but what I know is a little bit the history that the Crazy Bob Lee together with Rod Johnson in a shortest amount of time created the @inject. And the Juice used this @inject framework. So there was @inject, singleton, and J2E was already done, or Java E6, and they had own annotations, and they changed the annotations afterwards to conform to the standard. So at the end, this Java E6 is based actually on Spring dependency injection, or Juice dependency injection was created by Rod Johnson, Bob Lee. But what I wanted to ask you, it seems like Spring itself doesn't use these annotations anymore. So they use they don't use a lot of @inject. What I reviewed one project recently, a Spring Boot project, and couldn't find the @inject annotation, which would be strange because the entire point was to standardize the dependency injection for Spring, and now I use it all the time in Java E and microprofile, but I assume Spring uses different annotations. But you don't know about that, right?
No, I don't know.
Okay, this is why
we are supporting Spring as a injection mechanism.
On CDI as well? You're also supporting CDI?
Yeah.
Okay,
CDI, Spring, Juice. I think that's true. Yeah, the more important. So you can use whatever you want. Yeah, you can inject this beam into your action, or even the action can be fully controlled by.
And the contributions you do for Struts 2, is this like fun, or you have to do this, or fun?
No, it's fun. It's fun. Basically, it's fun. I'm working with the large code base, which right now I know it. I think very good. There are still some places that I discovered. Oh, okay, this time I don't understand what's going on here. And still there is another approach of managing a huge project. Yeah, there is we are getting a lot of security reports that need to be investigated, addressed, and so on. This is something that is not happening in normal projects. So this is still fun and cool stuff that I'm doing, which is something new.
And what you are doing right now is like you're fixing bugs or creating new stuff. So what's your idea right now?
Right now, basic Struts is quite stable. We try to keep it stable. Basically.
Trying. I just took a look. You are one. There was a Ted Hastert, but he is no more active. It was 2008. And you are actually the only one.
Yeah, there's a few other guys, less active than I, but still contributing. Mm-hmm. Basically, because Struts, you rather won't use Struts for a new project. Yeah, you will be rather using something new totally. Yeah, so it's new on the market today. But there's a lot of applications that are already using Struts too, and still to be supported and so on. You don't want to rewrite them.
On that note, first, what I did right now is I compared the Struts 2 project, and you are one of the committers, with Vue.js. You know Vue.js?
Mhm.
This is a JavaScript framework, which is very popular to talk about these days. Now, the chart of contribution for Vue.js is in July, I guess it was, I don't know which July is it, 2016. Huge spike of contributions and now almost nothing. So since October to now, almost no commits. There's only one committer who performed 500,000, I think, 39 commits. So, and Struts 2 is your. And if I would just compare the charts, it would look like Vue.js is the legacy and Struts is getting more and more popular, no kidding. Because your contributions are going up and they are consistent. Vue.js at the beginning was huge spike and now it dries out. So first, if you just would look at the contributions, it looks like Struts 2 is now the hot framework these days. And like Vue.js, the JavaScript framework is like the legacy, which going to nowhere. If you have to do it. I will send you the link. I will put it both links to the show notes. Vue.
Oh,
if you,
that's
yeah, of course. I will put as much as I can to the show notes, but what I can do right now, I put it to the chat. The first time during the podcast, we actually using the chat. You see, I'm also more and more interactive. So I send you this to the chat. You can click on it, and you will see that the main contributor what he did. So and now the second part is, I spent lots of time actually in backend. I use still the same what I did in Danzig. There's no difference. I still use microprofile in Java, but Quarkus and Helidon, so different runtimes. Actually, today I started Glassfish again, just for fun to see. In the front end, I use web standards, so web components and JavaScript. And what is still missing is like server-side rendering part. And what we do great in Java, so with JSPs, I still like JSPs. I mean, they are not bad. They are crazy fast, and we don't have to put too much logic to the JSPs. This is but we could use them as more or less template, right, to iterate over POJOs. Yeah. And what I think, which is still great, we could just use backend frameworks like Struts, for instance, for pre-rendering of web components in Java. So we have partially rendered logic is sent to the browser, and then we have our DSPA, so like a hybrid use. And I
mean, you are asking what's I'm doing with Struts. So one of the things I would like to do is because Struts is very heavy connected with JSPs. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you don't need JSPs because your project is not using them, but the current implementation is heavily connected with that. So I would like to discount a bit to move them as a plugin. So you will have like Struts core, which is just pure logic, framework logic, and then you can connect, okay, I would like to use JSPs, I would like to use FreeMarker or whatever else. So I would just plug in. So that's my idea for the future. So
this would be actually very good, because then you are almost at Jakarta MVC level.
Yeah, probably yes.
And then Struts 2 could become the Jakarta MVC, reference implementation.
Yeah, I think at some point, yes. If you will be able to like disconnect JSPs from the core, it would be possible.
I did something crazy because recently I'm rewriting my block engine actually, just for fun. And then I said I should record a video course about that, which I did. But about the rendering, right? And I wanted to say I would just use microprofile specs, just microprofile. And no servlet, no JSPs. And I said, okay, how to do that? And I use GraalVM. You're aware of the GraalVM? Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yep. And what you can do there, you can just load JavaScript. You can use JavaScript. So I loaded Mustache as a templating language and passed, JSON from Java and added my rendering. And this was as powerful as JSPs, completely in Java. I can also send you the link. It's very simple. This was one class. You can look at that. And on that, you should be able to cross compile it to native code. So I think it could be interesting, in Struts 2, this was a funny project, to make it compilable on GraalVM or run on Quarkus. Because the entire framework would be a native image, one thing, like serverless. I'm just talking, it seems like you have too much leisure. So there's this, the spikes was your commitment is hard to tell because you're committing too much. But it is like, recently you were pretty active. So in Corona time, March, right? So it's just like I'm monitoring what you are doing. I'm from GitHub, but Yeah, the GraalVM templating is nice, and I think what we could also do, like a micro profile matrix, just emit more metrics. I don't know whether you're already doing this. Additional rendering times and stuff like that is very easy with micro profile, and then Struts, I think it could become really relevant for new projects because I don't I don't get the mass excitement about SPAs, single page applications. There are reasons for that. So I see you can cover 80% of all cases with that, but there are some remaining cases where server side framework is way better and way easier.
Yeah.
And then something like Struts is just great. I mean,
quite often you don't need like something dynamic on your page, just need to render some static stuff.
Yeah, Wikipedia. I mean, Wikipedia is huge. It's a one of the most popular pages. Why to use this is not SPA, right? It's server rendered.
Yeah, exactly. So, it doesn't make sense to use that,
so therefore, I wouldn't. This is why we are talking, because Struts for me is really exciting, and it could become something. And maybe if you have some time, take a look at Jakarta MVC. It could be fun, to make it compatible somehow. Maybe because the guys also you can become the fame of Jakarta, So, and I mean, just ideas. What I also wanted to talk with you, I actually forgot the time. Is it too exciting? It's way too long. But still, the Equifax hack. This was because of Struts.
Yeah, it was because of Struts. Yeah,
was it your fault? Why all the Americans lost their privacy?
No, it wasn't my fault. I fixed that a long time before the breach was happened. There was like few options to, because it's quite often.
Can you send me to your fix? If you remember the commit per email, this would be nice. I will put it to the show notes. So then you are a hero. You fix actually. You could fix the privacy of the entire USA.
Yeah, there was a few options to use. You didn't have to like upgrade to the latest version. We proposed a few other fixes options, but they do nothing with that. So they have been using an old version.
Yeah, this was the problem. But what was exactly the technical problem? What happened? With Equifax? They exploit reflections, what I remember. But
because Struts is having depending on OGNL. OGNL is
Object Graph Navigation Language, right?
Language, it's expression language. Yeah, you can execute whatever you want, and OGNL is like a huge stuff. You can do whatever you want to with your JVM, and basically that was the problem. That was in some place that you were able to like inject your OGNL expression that was evaluated on the server side, and they have used this to open a port to communicate from outside. So I think that was the case.
Okay.
So it was not that directly Struts was used to steal data. They used it to open communication port from
but this was like an insider job. Someone created a template which opened the right because
I don't remember exactly. I think it was like, because if you will use untrusted incoming data, user data, evaluation, so they didn't perform the fault, or it was case of headers. Maybe it was case with headers. We have been evaluating header name, but we didn't validate the proper name. If this is a proper, like with regex, for example, So I don't recall that to investigate, but maybe it was the case that it was our fault, but the case was like opening the port to our communication from outside.
Okay, so this is a similar hack, like I think it's called cross-site scripting, right? Where someone injects to an arrow handler in JavaScript some JavaScript which can be executed. So what they did, the OGNL was too powerful, so they could do whatever someone inject. So someone stored in a database, probably OGNL, which is not properly escaped, something like this, and it was evaluated in the browser and on the server, not the browser.
On the server side,
exactly.
On
the server side and open the socket. Okay.
Open the port that they were able to connect to the database and all the data.
Okay. Interesting stuff.
Also it was the problem that this database was not on that server, to be honest. They were hacked. It was on the other server, but it was like the network configuration was also bad. This was a public server that was connected to internal network. It to the private data. So it shouldn't happen. It should be not possible to, even if you access the server, you are not able to access this private data, internal private data.
Yeah.
So that was like many things, not just Struts. Struts was like the beginning of the whole story, yeah?
Yeah.
But there was other problems around.
Interesting, because in my project, I cannot even access my own dependencies for builds. Sometimes I need 3 days until I can build something, and this seems like a dream developer environment. They could access everything, right? From in both directions. In both directions. Okay. Interesting. So were you called by, I don't know, US TV or something? Television or reporters back then?
No.
Crazy.
No, it was just reported by Apache Foundation. There was a statement that Apache Foundation prepared for press, and I think that's all basically.
So I'm the first reporter, semi-reporter, asking you about that.
No, I think that's the good stuff that you are part of the Apache Foundation. That you have called this how to call this surroundings with law, with press. You don't have to be exposed directly to that stuff. So you can always ask someone from Apache Foundation to help you, or you prepare a statement or something like that.
Oh, cool. Okay, so I never thought about that, but you're right. The Struts is actually a huge thing. So last question, complete different one about Scala. So as Scala came out, I wanted actually to learn Scala, and I had actually at the beginning of Scala, I had a chat with Martin Odersky at the JAX conference, and just wanted badly to learn Scala. And my hope was that Java has become too slow, and Scala is going to be the obvious choice. And for me, it never happened, so I was a little bit sad. So okay, then I would try with Scala to use Scala tests just for fun. Just to do something with Scala, but the performance of the compiler was worse than remember Xdoclet?
Yeah.
So for me, as I started the Scala thing, okay, this is a very I'm too impatient.
Exactly.
And then the developers say, yeah, but look, if it compiles, it is great because then it will run. It's like, yeah, look, but there are unit tests. They mostly compile, right? And then. In Scala, so I did the tests, and then I had questions about something, and I took a look at the Scala library, and I say, no, I absolutely don't understand what's going on. And then I asked another guy. There was a German speaker, so this is what I remember, and he always had just talks about Scala in Germany. And I asked him, what's the problem? Because I click on the class and I get a code, and it's really hard to tell what happens inside. I say, yeah, because you are application developer. This code is written by library developers. In Scala, we have the division between smart library guys and the application guys. Okay, then strange. And then I asked him, in which projects you spend your time in Scala projects? And they say none, but workshops are selling like crazy. It's like, okay, so then the Scala is nothing for me. Then I completely lost interest. And the Lightband company, I think, they were type safe. They renamed their safe and dropped their interest in Scala, and they do Java again, which is my understanding. So now the question, and you're a nice guy, reasonable, so you have a great project, Struts 2, and you're doing Scala. Someone forces you to Scala, or is it the evil?
No, it's...
Or is it really a reason to learn Scala right now if you have Java 16, let's say? So for me, it's almost, is it something where you to say...
I don't know. I have no comparison with such Java 16
or Java 11 or Java
11
10
even. Yeah. We are using Java 8 in Struts as a base.
Oh, Java 8 is also great, but you have already the streams. Java 8 is what you're talking about, so it's not like lots happened in Java.
Yeah, exactly. But right, you can say that Scala is okay, nothing better than Java. I would say that's true. But there's a few funny things in Scala I like case classes. There are very funny things, very simple to use.
Case classes like a switch statement, something like this?
No, not like. You have records in Java right now. We have records.
Yeah.
So it's very similar.
Okay.
It's like just value object. Yeah.
Okay.
But you can have you can use with pattern matching and stuff like that as well.
Okay.
There's also the syntax is quite often nice if you are using map or something like that with streams, so you don't have to use dots.
So you enjoy this Scala basically, right? It's not.
Yeah. There are some areas that I hate, to be honest.
Yeah. Which areas are they? So you have more examples to give. So
I just think said, yeah, these library developers, they are just producing libraries that looks good, but if you start using them, you discover, okay, you are using some crazy small characters to define something. What's going on? Why it's so complicated? Why
Yeah.
is that so easy for others to use? Yeah,
Exactly.
That's so. It's like, okay, it's like I can do it, so I will do it in a complicated way. Why not? Yeah. So.
But you are not one of the Scala developers. I had a chat with one who redefined the this. And he redefined the project that this or the counterpart in Scala, I forgot what it is, the this identifier. And with redefining the this, he created dependency injection. And I said, okay, this is also interesting. This is type safe in dependency injection. But I imagine myself, I spend time with other developers as consultant. There's no way, to explain this to developers. I would be fired immediately. I guess, right? So for me it was very interesting. So I was always curious what's behind the Scala, and I think there are cases, but even Spark, at the beginning was Scala heavy, and I would rather now just use Java 8 with Spark. I would say Java 8 syntax. I just wanted to hear your opinion about Scala. And this is what my expectations. So Java is getting to, and what I really don't like in Scala is it seems like it is not really compatible, right? So they tend to break the release.
Exactly. That's also the problem, that you have no binary compatibilities between.
I noticed this with Kafka, because they started with Scala and they moved back to Java a little bit more to be more compatible. Okay, so you have just commercial project with Scala, so you are doing Scala right now. But if the next project is Java, you will just Java. So you are not one of the crazy Scala guys.
I mean, the problem with Java world in my case is that quite often Java means Spring. So the next Java project will be based on Spring Boot probably. So
you don't like Spring Boot?
I don't know. I'm not a fan of it, to be honest.
But I have to say, I never did Spring Boot, and what now happens a lot in Java, I get lots of Quarkus projects. Have you took a look at Quarkus? Yeah.
No.
Quarkus or Quarkus? Quarkus. Yeah. Second time I wrote a chat. Go to my YouTube channel, so you will find some screenshots. Quarkus is what I did back then with Glassfish. Now with Quarkus, and Quarkus is the smallest possible framework ever. So it is smaller than empty Tomcat. And if you make run Struts 2 on Quarkus, it will start in a second. So it's really, or 2 seconds, let's say. Struts can be, I think Struts 1 or 2 seconds. So yesterday we did a workshop and it started in 0.6 seconds. So I would say 2 seconds is okay. And this is the same APIs, microprofile in Jakarta E. So it supports servlets. So our APIs we know. And you can cross-compile it out of the box to the Graal native image. And this is the fastest growing framework on popularity. And what I like the most on Quarkus, it does, it supports exactly the same APIs I talked forever. In Warsaw, in Danzig, is exactly the same programming model with CDI and stuff like that. And there's not just Quarkus, it comes from Red Hat. There's a counterpart called Helidon. It's from Oracle, very, very similar. But Oracle open source project with nice Oracle guys from Czech Republic. This is actually they are developing there. There's also some interviews on AirHacksFM. And there are lots of such newer frameworks which are based on the Jakarta and microprofile APIs. And I think for you, it should work immediately on Quarkus, your Struts 2. Would be a nice experiment, actually. And you could, and they have development mode. And the development mode is, it will, if you perform changes, it reloads automatically behind the scenes. You like Rebel, JRebel without JRebel.
In this Struts you have this mechanism built in, to be honest.
Oh, really?
In dev mode we will reload all the configuration on request.
But not the other poachers, right?
No, not the other poachers.
This reloads everything.
Yeah, this is like in-house mechanism for Struts only, so it's not like standard thing. Yeah. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it was fun to talk with you. I would re-invite you back in a few weeks to check, how your Struts 2 is working on Quarkus.
I think it's rather months or years in case of
it was just fun. But next year, so just do it in a few months. It was fun to talk with you and see what happens. Just maybe you are no more Scala. I didn't know that you use Scala, to escape Spring Boot. So this is what I didn't.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you to talk to you.
Yeah, it was fun. I remember the old days. Thank you.